Welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour for Friday, August 24th, 2018. I'm Dave Slusher. I'm here with my colleagues, Andrew Barnes, Todd Volpe, and Chuck Tomasi. Welcome, everybody. Right off the top, if YouTube is having problems, I apologize. It seemed weird right before I hit the button. It's telling me the stream quality is bad, but so we're just going to go forward. And go forward with what we got. So anyway, let's get the little bit longer introductions. We're going to start with Todd. Todd is a special guest. We're going to return this time and work a little bit more on this Meetup integration app. Todd is one of the original authors of this, and so we were hoping to get him on a month ago, but we had some life problems. So welcome, Todd. Tell us a little about yourself.
Hey guys, yep, I've been on the platform for a little over 3 years now, and I'm a client, just enjoy working on it, and we really needed this kind of stuff to help monitor and maintain our meetups, so that's what we started.
Which one?
The ServiceNow developer meetup.
In which city?
Which one?
Oh, South Florida.
Trying to get you to plug your meetup, brother.
Right, yeah. I'm new to this, so.
Forgetfulville, Florida.
South Florida. Yeah, so you started this specifically because you had an itch to scratch because you wanted to you wanted help. All right, Andrew, tell us a little about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Barnes. I am a service management architect at Novant Health, which is a sort of mid to large size ServiceNow client. I've been on the show a few times now, and I'm super excited to be here today and not confusing people with my updates at Tracker.
All right. And Chuck.
Hey, I'm Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow, Senior TPMM. I've been a customer for a couple of years, from 2008 to 2010. And since 2010, I've been a technical consultant, solution consultant, platform architect, enablement manager, many roles in ServiceNow, and loving every one of them. It just seems like the job can't get any better. And then someone says, hey, come over to my team. And I love it even more.
Oh, right. Now, in the same order, what libations do you have, gentlemen? Starting with Todd.
Did you do your integration? Did you do your integration?
Oh, no, I didn't do mine. I completely skipped me.
I'm Dave by one. We forgot the zero.
I'm Dave Slusher. I'm developer advocate with ServiceNow. Developer.servicenow.com. The developer portal is part of the domain that where I live. And if you're in a number of cities around the world this fall, you may get a chance to see us, a couple of us in person. So there you go. Now, Todd, what are you drinking?
All right, so today I've got a New Belgium Voodoo Ranger IPA.
Ooh, good stuff.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
I like those.
I have today an Ipswich Cranberry Beret.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna make sure I get that on there really good.
Prince.
They didn't get in trouble for that artwork because it's not exactly a likeness.
It's a sour ale, and I'm already enjoying it.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look for that for my wife.
And Chuck?
I have the AleSmith. I don't know if I've done this one. It feels familiar because we had like a 24 pack of these. The AleSmith Nut Brown. Good English style brown ale.
And I'm going old school, simple, with a fine Rolling Rock from Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
It's not in the green bottle. I don't recognize it.
Right.
Had it easily to hand. Sometimes you need a can because you can't carry glass everywhere. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing the screen, and we'll get to this. Todd, one of the things that is helpful, if you click the little button to hide turn your camera off, you'll know you'll go to icon. You have a little red button there on your camera. There you go. Now, I'll be darned if they didn't move the screen share from where the heck is this it?
Should be in the
no longer
lower right.
It's no longer on the plus button. Okay. This may very well be the last time we use.
Hey, that
last time we used it.
Screen looks great though.
Okay, cool. All right, so here's where we're at. Let me do a little bit of a rundown where we were at before. We took, this will look very familiar to Todd. We took the essence of the work that he created, which lived in this UI action over here, and it had, so this is basically like his, this is basically his How's that?
There we go.
Okay, so this is Todd's original chunk of code. We went through and we got rid of some of the things where it was using properties. We redid the data model. We moved information that was kind of in a top level property. We moved those into the data model so that we can have those per meetup. Okay. When we left, we had a few details that were just keeping it from actually hitting the Meetup API. So we were kind of almost there, but not quite, and we kind of ran out of time. So I have done enough work with this recently to get it to a more interesting place. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and put a breakpoint here, and we'll actually just walk through some of this happening. And I'll show you where it is now, and then I'll walk through where I got it, and then we'll start right in with a weird problem that about an hour ago I had no idea why it was happening.
So I got a quick question. How come you have to do REST APIs in business rules async, but you can run them in UI actions synchronously? That seems kind of contradictory, doesn't it?
I'm not sure what you mean.
If you try putting script like this into an after business rule, it will stop and say, no, you can't do that. You have to run outbound REST messages in an async business rule. We'll keep going ahead. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean, but we can talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
So so what I did in here is I set this up for the Chennai meetup because it is literally the farthest one out, and I'm so lazy I don't want to have to do this again. So it's November 10th. So I went and I created this meetup with all the stuff. It's got the actual ID. Slow. So this is the actual meetup ID. This is the actual link. This is all this stuff.
And a lot of that came from the response payload?
It actually did. And in fact,
okay,
just for fun, let's get rid of this link and update it. And in fact, let's get rid of everything except the ID. And I think I put in the name and the ID because those are required fields, but then and the date. But I can probably even
but if you created it, is it the origin of the event is on meetup.com and we're just pulling back that information?
Eventually, what I'd like to do is pull back literally everything. So we have a little bit to get before that point.
Okay. I'm wondering if it makes sense at some point in the future to make the source of authority, the origin. We start the event on ServiceNow and say, here, Meetup, create an event for me.
Yeah,
that is certainly possible.
Okay.
I was hoping to be able to do that later too.
All right.
Okay, so we've got the Chennai meetup. We're going to come over here and we're just going to call the script include. We're just going to do a get. This is the sysID of that Chennai meetup. We're going to then instantiate our script include, and we're going to call the sync event, which is this top one, calls a few other things. Okay, and we'll just debug through it and kind of watch what happens up until the point where it blows up.
It's really fun that you're doing this on a London instance and you get to see that record for rollback button.
Yes.
And in fact, I realized just 1 second ago that my script debugger may have timed out. Is it still there? Nope, it's still there. Okay. And you guys might tell me if I need to blow that up a little.
It looks good.
Okay. All right. So here's where we're at. We're stopped at the response body, line 14. Let's go through. We actually got, if you see right here, over in the response body, we actually did get the response body, which is nice. We got status, which is 200, which is what we want. Because of that, we're going to skip the error stuff, blah, blah, blah. We're going to come through. We're parsing the JSON. We're doing some stuff in the event, which is the meetup record. Okay, so we've actually just, the link, the description, the status are about to get updated. Go ahead and do that. And in fact, if we come over here, we should see that link just came back.
Yep.
And the description just came back, which I got rid of all this stuff. Okay, so we are actually getting live information
nice.
off of meetup.com.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get my debugger back. Okay, so now we're going to go into the sync attendees, which is a function. This is actually farther than we got last time. So we're going to, no, that's not what I wanted to do. I went over instead of drill in. So let's, I'm going to actually, we're just going to roll back and do this one more time. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the,
I wouldn't be sad if those had like some better help descriptions on them.
Like hoverovers, tooltips?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tooltips for those could use a little improvement, I think.
All right, we're going to go ahead and...
If you use a debugger before, they make sense, but it's too easy to hit them incorrectly.
All right, let's go back and do this one more time. And in fact, I advanced the breakpoint, so we aren't even going to stop until we get to... so now we're down here. Oh, we should have... thought I turned that one off. Okay. We'll go forward to... What the? Where did my... I could swear that I just clicked 33.
Yeah.
What happened to 33? All right. We're going to do this one more time. Fumbling with the debugger live on air. All right. One more time. And instead of, I will just do it the long way here.
Run. Yeah.
All right. So we will step over, step over, step over, step over, step over, step over. All right, so we're almost where we were. Let me not step into when we get to sync attendees. We have just updated. This is a no-op because nothing has changed since the last time we did it. All right, now we're going to step in, and you'll notice, so we're just passing it 3 bits of information. We're passing it the ID, and this is not the sys ID. This is the meetup ID.
Mm-hmm.
We're passing the URL name of the meetup, and we're passing the status of the meetup. And this is one of those things, this is just literally, straight port from what Todd had. So now let's go over. We're instantiating a meetup record from our record. We're doing the get on the meetup. We're defaulting to get RSVP. It does look to see if the state of this is in the past, which is something that was in that JSON payload that came back from meetup. If the state is past, you change the API to get attendees, which is a different API. What we were looking at right now is we want to see the RSVP of who said they're coming. So what we're doing now is we're calling the REST message that we have got instantiated. And so this is parameterized now, where you're going to call one of 2 APIs depending on like the state of this thing.
I like that.
Which I have never in my life used this pattern, Todd. So this is actually new to me. So I do like that as well. Is that you've defined both of these things. You have two different endpoints defined in your REST message, and then you just parameterize, which is quite slick. So we're giving it some parameters that it needs: the ID, the URL name, which came in as parameters, the key. This is our API key, which is coming from property, which I will try my best not to expose this time, so I don't have to keep resetting it. We will execute. There is our response. There's our response body, and you'll see, boom, we got a lot of good stuff.
Users.
These are, in fact, this is, I guess we got a little bit of a information link, but this is public information on Meetup, is that these are the actual people who are RSVP to that. So we'll do HTTP status, which ought to be 200 if we're actually getting this information and not a error message. We actually do, there is a syntax error or something in here. Like if we were actually getting in here, I think we've got, I think we're not correctly dereferencing the JSON when it's an error. So we might have to straighten that out. Did I not step over that one? Okay. So now we have gone over the error state. Now we're about to get to the problematic part. And we're about to hit the part where I need to start getting help. All right, so we're going to get the response. So now we have, we've got our response body, which just came from that. So our response body is this. And we might even just for fun, I'm going to save this off in case I need it. I'm going to paste it to Evernote just in case there's a reason where I want to come back and get this JSON. And so now we're going to go step one. We're going to parse it. I might actually refactor this in a second because I'm not sure that we're not causing. Well, this is working code for you, Todd. So this couldn't. I actually would, I think, like a different variable for the parsed one rather than putting it back in here. But that's just kind of an opinion.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It was like I'm uncomfortable with the changing type in midstream. It goes from a string to an object.
Yeah, it's a string here and it's an object here, and that kind of actually weirds me out a little.
Okay.
So I would just as soon have like a response obj, which is I think what I did above. Yeah. So we'll do the response body.
It works.
So we're gonna, yeah, it does work. So we're gonna do a for each, and so what we're for eaching over is up here is like this, right? We've got the outermost thing here is an array of these JSON objects, each of which is kind of one of these things. And this might actually be, I might actually need to crack this JSON a little bit. So we're doing the for each down here. I'm going to go one more time. And you've got, it feels like we jump far ahead. So we're in the for each function. And I think I actually maybe have figured out my own problem as we're talking about this, which is, so what I'm doing in here is, in this for each, we're calling sync developer. And when I call sync developer, this will crap out.
Right, because it was built for the previous way.
Right, but I think, so I changed it to a reference to this. But actually, I think that this is the context of this callback function.
Right, okay.
I think I figured it out, like, trying to explain the problem to you guys. Yes, I figured it out 4 seconds ago. Is that I think that this is not, we might actually, because we're basically like a level deeper, like up in here, like in this line, this is
the object itself,
the script include, and in here, this is
the for each
this function
or that function. Yeah, you're right.
Function. So I think calling sync developer. One of the things we might consider doing. So I'll just show you what's going to happen here. Let me just show it what's going to happen. And this is actually working right here. So body has own property response, etc. You'll see RSVP is yes. We're going to get a number for this guess. And I think if we look up here, so we're actually looking at a person here. And if we look at that, we're looking at a member who is somebody who has RSVP'd. You're the lucky member. You're like the winner of the raffle. You're the one on the show. So this is like the person that we're looking at. We're looking at all this kind of stuff. And the guests one, which I think that doesn't mean a +1. That just means the person themselves, right?
No, it does mean +1.
Oh, they've got a
guest
+1.
equals +1. Yeah.
Okay, so this would be 0 if it was just them.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to do this, and then we're going to call sync developer, and it's going to crash out. And so, and it weirdly crashes out in kind of an interesting way, which is not like your standard JavaScript thing. We're actually going to walk back up the call stack. We're going to go to response body. We're going to go back up to sync attendees. And now we're done. And if we go back and look at our output, we're going to see like the very last thing is cannot find function sync developer in object x nc dev meet, which actually still to this point seems weird to me because it doesn't seem like the object, it's not like a glide record that we're in. But that said, I think that's the problem, is that the fact that I'm trying to call sync developer from inside this callback. So I think one of the ways we could do this is we could get a reference. Do we want to pass? We could pass the function as a parameter in here. Do we want to try that? So like var sync function equals this sync developer. So now we've got a reference to, come on, dude.
And now inside of the
and do
the
I
next
I
function
actually,
call? Yeah.
Right. And I don't like at this point. I actually don't want the parentheses because I don't want to invoke it. I want the actual reference to it, right? And then sync function. Does this make sense to you guys?
I understand what you're trying to do. I've just never done this.
All right. And now instead of
This dot
sync developer.
It's this dot sync function.
No, I think it's just sync.
Oh, right,
Function,
because you passed it.
Just for our favorite part, do we want to wager on whether we think this will actually work? Oh, and here's why that's here's a big problem of what I just did. I did all that in the UI action, not the script include.
Not the script include.
Oops. I was wondering why I didn't have this as I was looking at it. So let's do that again. I was looking up there and I saw 2 blue dots and something seemed very wrong.
So the UI action has the old code that you're not calling it, though?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's like the original source
Yep.
of all this stuff, but it's not what we're doing.
All right.
All right. So let me format that a little sweeter. Then we'll pass that as a parameter, sync function, and then down here where it's this dot sync developer, sync function. All right.
I'm not taking the positive on this one.
I'll
You're
take
taking-
the positive. I'll take it.
You're taking the under. How about you, Todd? What do you? Is this going to work or not work?
I have faith in Dave.
I'm kind of rolling the dice. I don't know that I would. I wouldn't put a lot on this one. Let's put it that way.
We're
I'm
going to
hopefully
do a negative
optimistic.
assertion and drink if it fails? What?
I'm hopefully optimistic, but
Yeah, I'll
All right,
take
so
it
let's-
this week if it works.
skip this. Ooh, did we not even make it to?
Something wasn't happening.
0 is not a function.
Nice.
I'll vouch for that.
So do I want? So I did not get. So this thing returned 0. Up here, where's my callback?
Yes,
There's a
Is that syntactically correct there? Will that actually give you a reference to a function call from this
I don't
in that
possibly
format? That's my struggle.
Here's
there.
actually, I think I'm actually going to do something different. I think
Just
I'm going to
redo the for loop.
I'm going to take the callback out. I'm going to make the callback top level.
Okay.
So I'm going to take this all the way out of the
Down
just
to
a for loop
95, I think.
for each. I don't want to go to the end of the.
All right, 95, I think is your last line.
90,
95, 96. Sorry.
96. Yeah, this right here. Take everything.
It wants to help you, Dave.
Mine just asked for a Java update.
Oh, wait, Clippy.
All right. So this is. No. I'm one off. Something looks wrong here. Did I? Oh no. I just haven't made it up.
Not tall enough? Yeah. Up to
I'm gonna do an undo because I feel like I may have.
moved something.
Yeah. All right. So for each,
Mm-hmm.
57 down to 96.
Whoa.
Please
That is a
stop.
helpful tool.
wants you to help define has-own property? What?
In 96.
So this should be
Crunch.
okay. Nice.
Yep.
Yes.
Based.
All back function because I got no.
Okay.
This name probably is not sticking, but I'm just trying to think of something right now. All right, so callback function. In the callback function, I do actually want to call this. So did I? We're going to turn this back to this dot sync developers. So this guy should now be able to reference that because it's not. I don't know. I think it should be able to do that. Callback And then in here, we're going to do callback function. All right. What do we think of? This one actually seems more straight ahead to me than what I was doing before.
Are you passing? I mean, how's it passing the body of anything?
Yeah, you gotta.
Because isn't that part of the interface of for each, that it calls the function and it passes one thing?
Okay.
So I think actually part of the deal why that didn't work before is that probably I passed it null because the callback to for each doesn't take a second parameter. I'm going to guess.
Okay.
Todd, do you know? Because I don't. I want to say I'm not sure that I have ever used for each up to this point.
I usually use it with like for each key in hash. That's about it.
Yeah.
Do you remember, Todd? Is it implicitly calling like with the? It's calling is like passing. I'm going to assume that it's passing like the element from the array. And okay, so let's just see if this works. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put an extra breakpoint in here. Update this. Try it one more time. Back up. All right. Run the script. Pausing. Let's get something better. Oh, that's very nice. We are in the callback
into the function with a body object. Expand the body object real quick. See what we got. I like it.
There's things in there.
Yes.
All right. So we now have exact parity with what happened before.
Mm-hmm.
With a better chance, definitely not a guarantee, but a better chance of not failing on this reference to the function. So
nicely done.
What drove that all before was the failure to find this dot sync developers. All right, so everything, we're right back where we were. Now this is the line that failed last time. Let's do a step into. Are we finding sync developers?
We kicked back out.
Are we going to be walking right back up the call stack again? Oh, no. Bummer. Let's see. Still cannot find function sync developers in object. All right, this is where, so oddly enough, all of that stuff did not in any way affect the original error. So we're now getting basically the same error that we got at the very beginning, even after refactoring it. Oh.
Oops. I saw that as soon as you said, oh. Hate it when that happens.
So conceivably.
That's what you get for typing things, Dave.
Now, do we want to unfactor and see if that was the only problem? I almost kind of want to. But kind of wanted to do it. I kind of want to do it both ways because
let's get it to work.
Okay, we'll get it to work. Conceivably, I may like save this off in Evernote. Yeah, I may save this like whole script include off somewhere and then just like Control Z until we break it again. Because I want to do two things. One of which is get the thing working and actually understand the original error. It's like, was it this simple? Or was it, because if we go back and look at the thing, is it the same? Yeah, this is exactly the same error. So it may have just been the typo all along. So it's possible that my assumption that this was not reachable was a failed assumption. So, but for now, let's get the thing working. And we'll go back to debugger. Back past this. So we're in the callback. We're looking at our friend Akshay, who is always going to be the first one in here. What we really want to do is see somebody different. And are we pooping out again? We are walking back up all the way again. Cannot find sync developers in object. We're still failing on it, even though sync developers down here in the callback function. It is, where is it?
But then you
this dot sync developers. Sync developers. All right, this is the point where I'm kind of perplexed.
Why wouldn't you have the context at that point? I mean, they're two. That would be confusing. If it's not a typo issue, I'm now confused why we don't have access to that function from the object that we have right then.
Is this a static versus runtime thing, which is, did refactoring this not alter this? Because this is, in fact, here's something that I don't know, is at what point is this sync developers, does this happen at compile time? Does this happen at runtime? So the assumption that we made here by factoring it is that this reference is basically assigned at compile time. But if it's assigned at runtime, it's assigned at execute time, there's no actual difference in the code, right? So it's possible. Is it possible? Here's what I'm going to do. In fact, let's just do this. No pun intended.
See what this is right there.
Yes.
LOL.
What is this?
What is this equals this? Just to figure out what, and we'll not be singing Faith No More at this point, but all right. So let's do that just to figure out what are we introspecting at runtime here. All right. Now this is the point. This is the point in any debugging session where you get really, really tired of looking at the same chunk of. Like the first time you look at it, you're also excited. You're always so excited.
And the reason I can't answer whether it's runtime or execute time is because, well, we're actually, not running in JavaScript.
Yeah, we're running in the we're running in the executor of ServiceNow, which means
through Rhino, then to Java, and I can't answer that.
You could know a lot more about JavaScript execution than any of us on the call and not know what's happening here because
I could answer it for JavaScript, but I can't answer it in ServiceNow's server side JavaScript because
okay. All right, so now
no platform dev for that.
We're going to do, what is this? Let us see. So this is the XSNC. Now, wait a second. How can this be?
Huh.
How can this be? How is this a glide record of dev meet?
Now it has a
object
scope.
that contains,
it has a GR. Yeah, it's an object that contains a GR, an MR, and a SNWS.
Did we overwrite this somewhere accidentally?
And this is where I would decouple it. I just flatten it, man. I'm not sure we need a callback at this point.
Well, if we're going to do the for each, you're saying undo the for each and do something like a for loop?
A regular good old for loop. All we're doing is iterating through an array, right?
That is one possibility. However, I'm going to try one thing before we do that, which is out of curiosity, because now this has become so this is one of those things that's completely kind of violating expectations, right? I don't think any of us expected this to be that glide record at this point. And I'm really
it contained
curious,
a glide record, but I'm not sure where it came from.
Well, and it's got, and let me go back to my debugger. It's got
a glide record.
It's got a
REST message object and a
Oh,
Yeah.
we're looking at the body, right?
Oh, you're right. No.
So
No. What is this is a separate variable
Yeah,
from
that's a
body.
separate variable.
the body
Body's a variable.
It's not in
and this
body.
is a-
body gets called. So I still am failing to understand where that can even be coming from. Because we have, in fact, actually, let's look at the glide record. So the glide record is this is
That's the
our
meetup.
meetup record.
Yeah.
So how did that become this?
No, it's contained within this.
Yeah, it's contained within it, which
Or it's a
makes sense
thing.
because it's
You have a
object.
this.gr object. At that
Yeah, and I think this is okay. So we are all back into this is like whatever. We're back into the interface of the callback. That's what's doing all this. No matter what else you get. So what we could do for right now, we could flatten it, or we could do this.
I don't see a way of interfacing with.
Let's do it this way.
Yeah,
Just to humor
pass
me
an
for 1
object
second.
explicitly.
Okay.
Because we can call this function, we can call this one function from
Right.
anywhere by having a reference to it. So we're just going to, whatever weird context we're in, this should be correct.
I don't think I've ever instantiated an object from within that script include of the script include. This is a new one on me.
All right. And am I still,
Yeah, you're still frozen.
You had
on
no
the
idea-
Previous run.
you had no idea it was going to get this weird, did you, Todd?
No. Also,
We're folding space and time at this point.
And I
All
still
right.
don't think we're as confusing as update set tracker. I'm gonna get some graphics or something for next time.
All right. Ooh. All right. And let us get. All right. So we're here.
Yeah.
About to get into the callback. Oh, we're in the callback. We're RSVP.
And we're about
So
to.
what is this? Whatever that is, MR is now our script include.
Okay.
And let's step in.
We had an MR inside of this, but I don't know what it meant.
Well,
if it was
that's
any
from
good.
the. Well, that's actually from when he invoked it from the background script.
Okay.
That was the object name.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
MR.
Okay.
And we are now in Sync Developers.
Yay.
So and now this is
Okay.
completely new territory because I've never actually seen this work. So Todd, tell me what's happening here. So we're so this ID, this is the meetup ID of that user. Is that right?
yes. Although, just so you know, I can't actually watch the Skype. I'm watching it on the live stream. So,
Okay. You're about 7 seconds behind.
Yep.
Yeah. So the ID. So we've now got the meetup ID, which we're kind of syncing, and we're getting their name, and we're doing the basically the create or insert. We're going to either change them, we're going to resync them. We're basically using that ID as the key, and then if we find them, we'll just make sure to
Update them. Otherwise, we're inserting the record. Yeah.
I mean, I guess this is going to be an insert because we probably don't have Akshay. All right, and so we're inserting.
And that should move
And
up
now-
the stack.
We should continue looping over, and
Maybe another person soon.
I feel like we're birthing records or something.
I'm not exactly sure why. Sync attend. Let's see.
And we're out.
It felt like sync developers. It felt like we should have done sync developers, or we're
Felt like
syncing.
that we should have called that more than once. Huh?
How
Well,
many
no,
people
think that-
actually signed up?
That is a good question. I should double
What's
check to
our
see.
data?
The response body looked big enough to be more than one.
Yeah, sure. It looked like it looked like several. So let's
But that's
So,
always a
in
good
fact-
question, Chuck. Is what did
Right,
we
so
expect?
in fact,
How many?
so
I don't.
yeah,
know
I've got
that it will
I've
work
got the
that way.
I've got the payload over here, and I've actually got.
Okay, I was going to go to meetup.com and verify.
I can see that I've got 1, 2. I've got there are more than one. So Were you saying something a second ago, Todd?
Yeah, I'm not sure the for each would work in that case if it's returning the object. I don't think it'll loop through as all the way. I'm not sure.
It's a sync develop, and so actually this is where, so they were misaligned before. I want them to both be singular because we are syncing a single developer. And so we're in the callback function. And so the callback function should be happening again and again. So this is where I wonder if this isn't, well, no, this is working code from before. One of the things I want to factor while we're at here, let's go ahead and do the...
You're throwing the whole body at it.
Yeah, wouldn't
you want to
body?
Yeah, let's take a look at the response body.
Are you just at the top level and there's only one pass through because you're too high and you need to go down one?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
You might want to be doing, instead of response body for
object,
each.
You might be at the top level. You might be one level up, and you need to actually be down like one level into it.
Like response body dot attendees dot for each or something.
So that you have multiple objects.
We need to see the payload, Dave.
Let's do this.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
So I've got the payload over here.
Yep. You want to run it through a formatter?
I am, and I'm going to run it through this formatter.
Okay, so...
Pretty fine.
There's our array.
Okay. The array starts out with an object, an unnamed object. Then it goes into group. Where are the people? Guests.
And there's our first person that we actually parsed through.
Colon one. Member.
I'm actually going to decrease this font size a little to get more of that on the screen. Oh, no, I'm not. Let's do it this way.
I can see.
Okay,
it is an array.
It's an array of...
that goes to event. That the ending curly brace you have goes to event. So
there's this group.
Yep. Where's the next elements? That's still inside of the top level object we've got.
And then now this is what we saw. This is
then
guests one, guests and member. So let me go back over here. And so when we look at that, so body member.
Yep. Okay.
Callback. Body member. We're looking at body member.
It looks valid. You should have 17 different elements. Yep, there's the end of number 1. There's the end of number 2. The start of number 2. Huh. Okay. Are we referencing stuff properly? It looks like it.
It does. So let us get back in here. Let's see. So do we even have a second execution, or did it just call the callback function once? Let us...
And we died with an error of what? What was the error in the script's background?
Meetup.
Last time?
Meetup.
Oh, meetup is not defined.
Aha.
Okay. Meetup is not defined.
Is that at the end of our callback? No.
Meetup.
Search.
Yep.
Search.
Control F.
Attendee meetup.
Where we don't need to search because it's at line 88.
There you go.
You know what I started doing on my last project? I started putting the sysid of every script include in the description of the of the script include, because when you look in the log error messages for things that are happening in the background, it tells you sys_script_include and a sysid. And I've gotten to know my script includes by the last 4 digits of their sysid rather than their names, because I know who the troublemakers are, and just something to help you debug until we get better debugging.
That's disturbing.
I know.
By the way, that you got to know them by their
Just the troublemakers.
Okay. So here's the deal. Meetup.sysid is crashing out the second time we come through this. We've done sync developer.
Where did Meetup come from?
sysid
You got Meetup.sysid.
Yeah.
Where did Meetup come from?
It's not blue.
It's not blue. Therefore,
It was copied from somewhere else.
let's go back to the original here.
Did we have a Meetup in the about before we call the callback function?
Blue there.
I'm going to go back to here. Meetup, yes. So sync attendees.
It's your glide record.
Yeah. So this is a victim of this refactor.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm going to defactor a refactor because
Okay.
this right here, that function, I know for a fact we don't have to worry about the call stack business because we're explicitly calling the script include. So we know that all this is going to work.
Yeah.
But do you still have access to Meetup? It's in a different scope at this point.
This is now the same thing. I think we do because this is now being defined here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give it a shot. I think it will work because this is now puts it back on parity with what Todd was doing. All right. And again, very familiar chunks. Do we have anything in the chat, Andrew, while we're
No, sir. We're
okay.
up to date on the chat. Earl confirmed our thoughts on what we're passing for each, but we figured that out ourselves too.
Okay. So Meetup at this point is we define. I don't in the local. Well, we're about to find it out in 1 second here. It looks like we are, although I'm not seeing it in.
It's blue in the debugger.
Yeah.
That
All right.
it is, sir.
So attendee Meetup. So we now are should be inserting an attendee record.
Oh.
And are we going to do a second one? It's the real fun.
48 minutes into it, we're almost ready to take a drink. You guys haven't been waiting?
Oops.
No.
Oops.
Right. We're in danger of having some success here.
We're in danger of we've got another user's picture.
That is actually, and that's not the default one, right? Out of curiosity, let's just see.
I just said that just now.
All right, that's you, dude. If this is you, wave to the camera. So someone that lives in Chennai, welcome to a live coding happy hour. All right,
You're famous. At least your avatar is.
all right. So we are at this point. We are. I believe we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, let it rip. I say let it rip. See what's in the.
Right. Let us turn off all these breakpoints and just go.
And you're making a related list of attendees for that record? Is that our expected output?
I believe so. To be honest, Todd, I'm not 100% sure what we're doing at this point. We're looping back through because this is the kind of untouched stuff.
Right.
I don't see anything in attendee that links to the parent record for the meetup, though.
Let's go back. I'm just going to let it run. So it's running through. Let's go ahead and going all the way through. Did I turn that off? All right.
So how do we validate that we did something
action.
useful, Todd?
Action is. Oh, did you leave in action.set redirect URL?
I did. Probably. Yes.
We've never
However-
had that problem before, Chuck.
However, that is quite literally the very last. I'm going to get rid of that too. So I believe everything that was going to happen should have happened.
So Todd, what does victory
Yeah.
look like? How can we go validate? Do we go to a meetup event and then look
Go
to
to
see
the
if there's
attendee table.
attendees?
We have
Okay.
attendees
Yeah.
for Chennai.
Right.
Okay.
That's
We don't.
success. Is
Do we want to put
attendees.
a related list on the event table?
So
So all these were created just now, Dave?
Yes.
Can
And
you-
in fact, let's go ahead and put the created timestamp.
We have 14 records. I thought we had 17 people.
Some
yes.
of those might be. Well, I don't know exactly.
Oh, it might be the plus ones.
Yeah. So you'll see that these were all created in the last 3 minutes. Most of them were created,
I like
other
it.
than
I like it.
this
Other
one,
than-
which
And
was.
then empty.
The Invisible Man.
We've got Lily Lee. We should also have the ServiceNow developer program.
Yes.
Okay. So those
How
are.
many people are in that meetup?
I don't know how that attended happened.
Status absent. Yeah. So there's.
So the RSVP. So the way the meetup.com is supposed to be is basically if you have an RSVP, then you're ready to attend.
Mhm.
But it shouldn't post any attendance, so it shouldn't even be set to absent yet.
Oh.
That was part of the posting part.
Is that perhaps a default you have
I was
or
just
something?
going to say a
Yeah,
default that we
probably.
didn't set.
Yeah.
Let's look and see. It's fine. Let's look for the word absent.
Status equals response body dot status. Oh, that's the event GR though. I'm looking in the wrong place.
I don't. Are you saying that a default in the?
In the,
Maybe on the
dictionary.
table.
Yeah, the dictionary default for that might just
So that-
create them as status absent.
Right. It's not. Yeah, it's not in there.
There you are.
There it is.
Yeah, that is the
Bam.
default value. Okay. Okay, so we got a little work to do on that. We've got, but this is way farther than we were last time. So we're actually.
The other thing to check, Dave, that we want to think about is that was doing an insert
Mhm.
every time. If we were to call that
It said
rest again,
updates.
No,
It checked for updating.
It's
Was it
it's
up-
if
both.
they were already in there.
oh, okay, it was
Yeah,
checking
that's-
if it exists.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right
Oh,
there.
perfect.
right here.
Good
This
job.
is that pattern's in there a couple times. If it's there, it updates. Otherwise, it inserts.
Happy to be corrected.
All right, so let us go for broke here. Let me see if I can pull up in another window. Some
A different
meetups.
event sys ID
Exactly. Different event. That's not it.
or event ID, whatever it is.
All right. So let me pull up.
The Charlotte developer.
Charlotte
meetup
sounds like
is
a
on
great
Tuesday,
test
and
case.
it's their very first one. And I'm super excited to have the second meetup in North Carolina going.
That sounds
You're
like
gonna have to get Craig
great-
Stepp to go.
Is Craig in Charlotte?
He's in Rock Hill, 30 minutes away.
Oh,
All right.
I shall
All
try
right.
to encourage him to join.
All right. So I'm looking at this. I've got the meetup over here. Here's the idea. Here's something I have no idea, and but Todd, maybe you have some insight. Is the difference between whether you get these alphanumeric things or the alphabet or the numeric? You have any idea why these IDs are one way sometimes and another way other times?
Which IDs?
The meetup event ID themselves.
Oh no.
It's complete. I'm just gonna give it. I'm gonna just give it. Let's give it a default name and see if it overwrites it. I'm actually super curious to see. Let's just go ahead and submit this. Let me do a save.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get the sys Let's do this. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Run it with this new sys
And you have breakpoints still? I thought you cleared them all.
I have what the very first one is still in there.
All right.
Let's put one back. Let's do sync attendees. With that, let's get down to right about here. Nope. Did we poop out? Looks like we pooped out. Invalid group URL name null. Invalid group URL name null.
Oh.
Oh, I don't have.
Populate
I did
the
not set.
URL.
I didn't set up a group. Okay.
Oh. Yep.
A meetup, but not a group.
Right.
Nice.
It's got to know where to go.
That doesn't look
that's
like
not
an
it.
URL to me.
Well, and this is not even really an URL. This is going to be
The suffix.
a portion of the URL.
Yeah,
This part right here.
Yeah.
And can I leave the owner null, Todd? Will that work? It shouldn't kill anything, right? And the current event, I'm just gonna leave those empty. All right, so now we got to go back to our meetup event.
I don't even remember owner.
All right, so now I'm gonna set this to Charlotte because it's dot walking to that, and it was not resolving anything.
That should be a mandatory field then.
Yes, I think that should be. That's
If you must have it for any usefulness. Good call, Chuck.
actually, before we forget,
Take the default status off.
yeah, well, I'll just remember to do that.
Maybe the group.
to make to make that required. All right, let's try again. Let's see if we get something a little better. There we are. Look at that.
Beautiful thing.
And I'm just going to go ahead and let it roll. We're going to get the same thing. Let's turn this off. Let's just let it roll.
Down the highway.
All right. And so I took out my and look at that.
All right.
Hey,
Oh, it didn't
that's our
update the
fault.
name though. It's still default.
Yeah, we didn't touch this at all. But these are the people. Do we see? Did you RSVP, Andrew?
I don't think so. but those are the correct names.
All right. So it didn't
my
overwrite
team
the
is
name.
on there, so
Okay. So you recognize some of these people.
yes.
Okay. So it did not update. Yeah. So I had a bad assumption that it would overwrite the title in there, but we are in fact getting almost everything here. We're getting, we're definitely getting the actual people. We're creating accounts. We're setting this. So like this is like a one-liner, just making sure that we may not even that. So at some point we have to kind of think about what we were talking about before is this responsive to, or is this the creator of these meetups? So
Yeah, I was thinking I would want just spitballing that. I would want it to pull them down from Meetup and use Meetup to manage that.
yeah, I think
creation of events.
yeah, it probably makes sense to not be doing this. It makes sense for this to be for them to be created via API.
Yeah.
So I think that's the
scheduled
next
job
step.
just grabs them.
Exactly. I think that's the next step is to just have somebody go, have something go out once a day and look and see, is this an ID of a meetup I have seen, I don't know about. If so, then instantiate a new one. Go from there.
So, question for you on that. Being the owner of all of the developer meetups, like because your account did that, would you want to do it at that level so that you could see all your meetups that you own?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so this
I
is
would think so. Yeah.
the API key that we're using here is for the ServiceNow developer meetup account.
Okay.
Which is the owner of every one of these meetups.
Right. And so that one can actually go out and get all of its current meetup. Okay, gotcha.
Correct. Like the API key you had in the original one could only get your meetup.
Yeah.
Because that was the only one that you had access to.
Right.
As an organizer, I think. I don't actually know. That actually would be an exercise for something. Can you
that
with your
should be the case, but
with your API key, could you pull down the Charlotte attendees? I don't know. It seems like maybe you shouldn't, but again, like what we were saying before, this is in fact all public knowledge. So I don't know if it's prevented.
I'm not sure either.
But that is in fact an interesting question. Okay, so cool. I'm going to stop that right here. I'm going to stop sharing. That actually was moved the ball pretty far down the field there.
We have attendees.
We have attendees. So now, there's more. Oh, did I stop sharing?
Nope. No, you did.
All right. So, yeah, so that's all good. So this is actually gives me a bit of hope that we can get this wiggling. So Todd is working with me on getting this to production. Our ultimate goal is that we're that this is a manager, because one of the questions that people have is, we as a group wanted to run some metrics, like what are what are the attendees like? Are they getting bigger? Or how many people attended? How many distinct people attended a ServiceNow meetup last year?
Or
who
how
attended,
many? Who's our regulars? How many people
Right.
have been to 6 at the same location?
Right.
That
How many-
you start seeing patterns.
or who has attended the most different meetups?
Non-ServiceNow
Which
employees.
I'm pretty sure I know who that is. Like the non-ServiceNow who have any guesses? Throw a name out there. You all know him, I'm pretty sure.
Gaurav.
John Roberts, I think.
John Roberts. Yeah, I think you're
five
right.
different. I think he's been to meetups in like 5 different cities. but one of the things you could do is you can set up performance analytics. So you can set up schedule. You can set up reporting, and like we said before, we want to have reimbursement tied to this, where like the max reimbursement is tied to the number of people who attended and things like that. So we are well underway. So this is good stuff. All right, gentlemen, let us go around. And anything lingering from the chat? Did we completely stun the chat this week?
We're good.
We are doing
Okay.
good.
All right, cool. Let's go around and rate our beers. Andrew, I know how you are with a sour farmhouse ale or anything like that, but let's get official.
All right. Well, typically we go in the same order, but today we're skipping. So Ipswich Cranberry Beret. This is a 3.75.
Whoa, that's the lowest we've ever gotten from one of those.
And from a
From
sour. Yeah. It's just okay.
I figured your floor was 4.5, but
No.
all right, Todd.
Those 4 Saints are really good.
I'm gonna go with a 4 or 5. This is really good.
All right.
Or is that a 5, right?
It's out of 5. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you the only person on the call not on Untapped? We're basically this is what we would put into Untapped.
Right.
Chuck?
Nut Brown from AleSmith is going to be 4.0. Nice, solid Nut Brown. Good ale.
I think a Rolling Rock by definition is like 3.0. It's basically like it's like the calibration point.
Size of 3.
If you're drinking anything less, you don't drink it.
Well, not that long ago, I wanted to see, have I completely altered my palate, like drinking all these craft beers, that I cannot enjoy a Rolling Rock? And that was actually a question I had for myself. And a Rolling Rock is just fine. Rolling Rock is kind of like the floor of what I'm going to drink, right? If it's much worse than this, like as you said, if it's worse than this, I'm not drinking it. So it's like just your standard fizzy water. So 3.0 on the dot. So all right, thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
everyone.
Thanks,
This
everyone.
was super fun, and I'm glad to see this working, because a lot of us on this call are trying to actually get this thing into production as soon as possible. So, all right, thanks everybody, and we will thanks everybody who's watching and who watches it later, and we will catch you all again next time.
Bye.
Guys.